All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bullets, Barbells, and BBQ. I'm here with Mike and Chris, and hopefully we'll have a later appearance by Matt, but we'll see what happens. Today we're going to talk about barbecue because summer just started, Memorial Day. Last month was National Barbecue Month. So we're going to start with like our favorite barbecue appetizers and or entrees to make, or something you've successfully made.
What did you do for Memorial Day? Did you make anything?
I did not. I went to Chris's. He made a brisket. He made his first brisket.
I didn't have any appetizers, though. But
yeah, it wasn't really a complete meal or anything.
no, it wasn't. It was just kind of like the brisket. And some.
The brisket was the star of the show.
It was. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
But if I was going to make
appetizer-
something, it'd probably be like some jalapeno poppers or some of
Yeah.
those. What are those?
Pig shots.
Pig shots.
those
Pig shots. Those are really good.
That's all I
Pig shots are good. Sausage wrapped in bacon with cream cheese, shredded cheese, diced green chilies, and some seasonings.
I don't mind really shitty hot dogs either.
I
just
like those
regular-
gigantic ones from Costco.
Oh yeah. Well, the Wagyu ones, I'm not even going to go there because those are obviously the best hot dogs on the planet.
SnakeRiverFarms.com. They should sponsor us.
That'd be amazing. But the cheap, like $2 pack of 8s, I crush those things.
Like the bar S or whatever those ones are called.
yeah,
If you leave one on the grill too long, they turn into
black.
and I'll shrivel up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you grilling them or smoking them though? Because hot dogs
I don't
smoked
have
are
a grill
probably
anymore. I only use a smoker for everything.
yeah.
So all I do with that is I crank it up to 375 if I'm gonna grill anything, and like burgers.
And based on
hot
how
dogs.
disgusting yours is, it probably starts on fire.
It's pretty clean actually.
All right, I'll give you that.
I feel like I clean that thing all the time, and it's
Oh,
like
I
a
clean
full-time
it.
job cleaning
When the weather changes is when I clean it. Is that a bad metric?
That is a bad metric.
That's when I do it.
I think I clean it every 2 times I use it.
No way.
Yeah.
Depending
Why?
on how, I mean,
Because
depending
I'm
on
trying to get it to last for a while.
Mine's built like an AK.
it's not. You started on fire twice.
True.
Mine has also been on fire.
I have
It
not,
didn't ruin
I
it
have
either.
not
That's
caught mine on
impressive.
fire yet.
So what'd you do for your brisket? Let's give them the
Oh,
rundown.
what did I do? Well, I trimmed it first, which was very nerve-wracking.
You wasted all the meat, didn't you?
No. I did try to cut off a lot of the hard fat. And then I put it in some little loaf pans so I could render it so I could make some beef tallow. And then I seasoned it with Meat Church's gospel seasoning. Put a little Worcestershire sauce on it, if I said that right.
How do you pronounce it?
I think it's Horse in the Shire.
Worcestershire.
Horse in the Shire.
Put a little bit of that on there for the binder, and then threw the seasoning on there. Let it sit in the fridge for a couple hours with that seasoning cake in there. Then I put it on the smoker at 200 for 9 hours, and then I
That's
cranked.
pretty low. 200's pretty low.
Yeah.
You
Then-
did like the all-day brisket, right, or something, didn't you?
Yeah. Then when it got to 173 or 5 or somewhere around in there, I wrapped it and cranked it up to 260.
What'd you wrap it in?
Butcher paper.
Okay, I still haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome, Matt.
Oh, Matt has now arrived. We thought he might have been dead for a second because. So you wrapped it in butcher paper.
Wrapped it in butcher paper. Left the probe in it so I could. I let it get a little too hot though. It got up to 208 before I took it off. I should have probably took it off a little earlier, maybe around 200, because so I could let it keep rising. I think that might have been a little bit of a downfall. Then I let it sit outside for almost an hour. Then I put it in the cooler for a couple hours so it could rest. And then I sliced it at about 140, which may have been too long of a rest because it wasn't. I didn't think it was hot enough.
It was a choice, or it was a prime from Costco.
Yep.
Well,
16
What
pounder.
do you watch the temperature when you make before you slice yours?
Mm-hmm. I
What-
usually go down to like between 160 and like 150.
No kidding. That's
And then I start
new to
slicing
me.
it.
Yeah, because if you slice it too hot, you'll lose you'll lose a lot of the.
What if you're super hungry?
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously, but yeah, you want it to rest so it can start to pull the juice back in.
Mm-hmm.
As it cools down, it starts to tighten up. You can pull the juice
I just
back
didn't
in.
know you had to. I mean, I knew like generally I just say an hour or two.
I usually say I usually go an hour in the cooler with the lid cracked, and then from there I go from there. It depends on how fast you need it to be done. If you need it to be done, set it on the counter, still wrapped up, and then let it come down that way. I always leave my probe in it while it's cooling down.
I think I could have left. I don't think I wrapped it tight enough either. What I
You want
didn't-
that shit super tight.
Yeah, what I didn't do was I should have moistened my paper, which I didn't do.
Spray with
Spritz it-
some apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, I did not do that. 'Cause I didn't have
Is
it.
that so it doesn't stick?
Nah,
So you can make the papers more pliable, so you can get get the
okay.
wrap real tight on it.
you want it to be super tight.
I've never used paper. I've always just done foil.
The old crutch.
Yeah. Lazy, I guess.
So is that your favorite? That's your favorite barbecue entree, you think, that you've done?
No, I like the ribs I made better. Ribs.
you're-
I do like making ribs.
So if
too.
you were going to go to a party and they said, bring your best barbecue, what are you bringing?
I'm bringing ribs.
You're bringing ribs?
Yeah,
I'm bringing pulled pork.
Because it's the easiest thing in the world to make?
Mm-hmm.
my ribs. The last time I made ribs,
Yep.
they were so good I couldn't
It's
stop eating them.
versatile. You can all of a sudden you have a week's worth of nachos, breakfast with eggs, breakfast tacos, sandos. The list goes on. You can do it with brisket, but if you just get handfuls at a time, it's easier.
Pulled pork, I just have to poop a lot if I eat too much.
I get
Mm.
there. Yeah.
We're doing favorite barbecue entrees. Matt just got here. What's your favorite? There he is. What's your
Welcome.
favorite barbecue entree? Because we said this is at Memorial Day, start of summer. What's your go-to? If we invited you to a barbecue party and we're gonna have a barbecue, what are you bringing?
Matt's winded.
Like
that's
I
why
have
you
to
can
bring
hear me.
I have to bring.
We're all bringing entrees
the-
because we're fat. Like, it's just an entree-heavy party.
Fair
That's
enough.
how-
No sides, no starts. Fucking.
Well, we're gonna talk about
Okay.
barbecue appetizers after that, though.
God, do I like the people or am I just?
It's us.
Oh, okay.
So you like at least two of us.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You guys can figure out who.
I would have gone with ribs until my last experience last week, where I totally shit the bed, and I have no idea
What'd
why.
you do? You don't know what you did?
Same recipe, same meat, same store.
What happened to it?
Two of them turned out like burnt shoe leather, and two of them had a really tough skin. Once you got past the skin, the flavor was fucking great, and the smoke was nice.
Did you
Not a
have it on
fucking
like the
clue.
wrong part of your smoker?
Same racks, same all the good stuff. I don't know.
Damn, weird. Is that on the Ferrari smoker you own now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was even on the Ferrari. So I don't.
Is that what you named it?
No, her name's Rebecca. with
Is
a
that
K.
Okay.
is that on your?
Is it really?
Is it on your app? Does it say Rebecca on your app?
Yeah.
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 Well, Crystal has Smoky one because that's pretty clever.
Oh wow, that's so unique.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you bring ribs though. You're good at ribs.
I really like ribs. I like it's a good.
I mean,
it's a
basically,
good
we're going
bite.
with like what you're most confident in making, and you've most
Well, do you
successful.
slice them or do you cook them on a full rack?
I cook them in a full rack.
So I used to until he brought those ones. Brett brought those ones to the gym that were wrapped in bacon, and I feel like they cook better and a little bit faster, and they're equally as good.
Well, they
Yeah,
cook
it's
faster,
just
and you
like
get the fat from the bacon.
slathered in fat.
But they do cook faster, and they are
Yeah.
good. But you almost have
nice.
to do the what's it called, the Hollywood cut, where you cut right on the bone, and then you skip the bone and cut right on the next
Yeah.
one, so it makes it lollipop kind of style.
Yeah.
But
Like
yeah,
that's how I do them when I take them to the station and anything. I'll
believe
cook them
it's-
all
yeah.
and then slice them to take. But yeah, it's like so whatever this far end bone is, if it's a good enough bone on the right, I'll take all the meat up until the next bone, cut, and then skip that bone up to the next one, cut. So you can get a bone and then a big chunk of meat to one side of the bone.
Oh, same time where you cut it on
Oh, you get
every other bone, so you get like
Oh,
a steak
gotcha.
with good meat on both sides.
Yeah, I guess for you guys, if I like, I do that for you.
Yeah.
For other people, I wouldn't though.
No, I get that.
Make them work for the
Yeah.
meat. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're going ribs. What do you got, Mike? Or you said pulled pork.
Pulled pork. I mean, honestly,
Have you ever made anything else in your life?
briskets. Yeah.
Briskets, singular or plural?
Plural, yeah. They're not as good as yours, but they're definitely edible. What I rush through a lot of them, honestly.
You know, the patience.
Yeah,
Rush through
I
the
don't.
brisket.
Yeah, but you know what I still prefer doing most of the time, and that's a
Missionary?
double sandwich he's opening up right now. I rush through missionary, yeah, to get the doggy. Hurry up, let's.
And he has
let's
two dogs.
change.
He has two dogs. That's where it gets weird.
And no peanut butter is weird. I am still just in love with smoking burgers. You know, I mean, I really love.
You ever done them like at 180 for just like?
Yeah.
It takes a while.
I've done really
Super
like,
good, though.
They are, and I really I know it sounds stupid, like maybe a waste of money because you have a smoker, but you like to smoke burgers. But I love smoking burgers, man. Like that's like my favorite. I'll cook them real quick, if I have a volume to cook. And like last year when you guys came over for the 4th, I had whatever, and it was hot, and I just cooked them kind of quick. But if I'm just messing around, I have time.
You ever done a steak like that, like 180?
Yeah. Yep.
Fuck, so good.
Well, chicken too.
Unless you want the I know a lot of people like the sear on the steak, but if you don't care about the sear,
But the sear, like you just got to pull the meat off when it's 120, or even if it gets up to like the mid 125, pull it off, let it cool, because it'll keep going up to about 130. So I like stuff rare. So my steaks are like barely dead.
like my buddy says, they just walk it through the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. And so cook it up to whatever your desired temp is. So for me, I'm looking 132-ish for that rare, maybe into medium rare. Pull it off the smoker where the meat is 125-ish. Let it even rest for a little bit. It'll come back. It'll go up. It'll start to come back down. And then when you sear, it's got to be crazy fucking hot because you don't want to go
Are you doing that on
past-
your smoker, or are you getting like a Blackstone or a skillet or something like that?
I'll do it on the skillet. Like I'll have
inside?
Yeah, I'll have a couple big cast irons
Yeah.
either on the grill or just have the grill rip roaring and take them off and do that. And it's like maybe 30 seconds aside.
One of the changes I started doing with steaks, probably for about a year now, is adding duck fat to them.
That's what you were saying.
And it's there's I don't care about the health benefits, but I heard about it because of health benefits. But the flavor is just incredible. But your metabolism does spike pretty hard after you eat it, and that's not the reason why I was eating it. It was just delicious, but I get so fucking hot, like I sweat so much.
Is that because you eat so much? Or
No, not even that. Like a regular size steak, a couple hours later, like I'm just on fire. There's something that I don't know what happens. I'm not a scientist.
Where do you get duck fat from?
Walmart, you can get it.
Like
Really?
you get the actual jar or just the spray?
It's the jar, and you have to, and it's like coconut oil, like that's kind of you have to scoop it out. It has to get hot for it to melt. You
Oh,
know?
because I've seen the spray everywhere. I've
Yeah.
been seeing
Yeah, no. Yeah, get the. It's probably, it might be like 10, $15 for a jar, and I get like a spoonful and put it on top of a steak. You'll love it. It's really good.
Tried it on eggs yet?
No, actually, only steaks, honestly.
I don't make a ton of steaks. That's my
Have
problem,
you?
though.
No, I've never tried the duck fat thing. It sounds interesting, though.
Well, if you could cook on a skillet. You could just leave the duck fat in there and kind of stir it around there and flip while you're flipping it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But on the smoker, I cook them to a certain temperature till they're about done, right, in medium, right, or whatever. And I just put that duck fat on top of it, and by the time you pull it, it's just melted on top. It's been sitting there for a little bit. Oh, it's so good.
like putting fat on top to let them rest is nice because it's trying to like suck
Yeah.
all that moisture back in. And so all that fat that's melting, some of it's going to run off, but a lot of it's also going to get pulled back in. So if you use like some kind of garlic infused or like some of those herb infused butters, you can actually pull some of that extra flavor into your steak.
I usually always just use butter. That's what I usually use.
You'll do-
I'll try the duck
try-
fat, though.
Yeah.
But if you do
you'll
the
love
duck
it,
fat,
dude.
if you do too much of it, does it get like that weird tinny taste?
No.
Like
Like a duck? No. It doesn't
No.
taste like a duck.
no, not like a duck. No, if you use
gamey.
like
Like if you use a bunch of tallow, you're talking
tallow,
about, you
it-
get
Oh,
that-
no, no,
you
no.
it's
get
like
that
a
feels
metallic-y
different,
taste. Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, too, is I thought it was going to taste gamey, like a really gamey duck. And it's just... It's
Have you
just
ever eaten duck?
butter. Yeah, I have.
It's not bad. It doesn't taste real gamey.
Gotta watch out for the pellets.
I think it's not gamey, but it's kind of greasy. You
It
know?
is greasy.
If you go with the butter, Kerrygold makes a couple different.
Oh, so good.
They do a couple different butters that have like garlic,
my
and
Irish
herbs
people.
and some different stuff in there. Yeah, like, that's like the best butter ever.
Or you can get Chef's Choice. Or Chef's Gold, sorry. Chef's Gold from Snake River Farms. And it's like a tallow with a bunch of different stuff in it.
So it's like fancy tallow.
There's probably a handful of hipsters listening to this podcast that are like, oh, Kerrygold, that's what I eat for breakfast with my coffee.
for their bulletproof coffee. Yeah, put
In
some
MCT
MCT oil.
You know, you're talking about searing them. I know people who used to buy the green egg minis. Just the little mini
Just to
guys.
sear?
Just to sear. Because you could get them
How
like...
big's a mini with your hands? Let me see.
It's probably like
Like
12
10?
inches, maybe.
Okay,
10, 12 inches.
About the
And
size
you,
of the ring.
and you can get that thing. They don't have them, so I don't know.
Oh my god.
But
Thanks,
you can get
Matt.
that thing up to like 1,000 degrees, and they'll just turn it on just for that.
Do you know if Father Ross has used his little briefcase smoker?
All
yet?
the time, he said. All
I
the time.
knew he. I don't have time to do this.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You lift weights and you have a smoker and you live alone. So
What about your like a barbecue? Well, I'd probably do brisket. Would be mine.
my choice would be your brisket if I had a choice. Would be Brent's
But you know what?
brisket. Yeah.
And to not my credit, but when you use like a Wagyu, it does make it a little bit easier sometimes.
Big time. Like
I know we've talked about it. Maybe not on air or not, but you were pretty nervous to smoke your first Wagyu. It
That
sat
first
there
Wagyu I
about
had for a
year.
while. I did a
Because
bunch
it's
of
a house payment.
Cause I did
For real.
I did a bunch of primes first, but
That's Costco, right? Like
I bought them from
generally?
Costco. Yeah. I've had a couple I bought other places and they sucked. So the
might-
big thing with brisket, like the trick is you have to buy. Like I talked to a guy the other day and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got some brisket on sale," and I was like, "That's not a good idea."
Well, it's about also what your expectation is.
Yeah,
Like if
like-
I'm feeding a bunch of people who I moderately care about, fucking Hy-Vee is the way to go.
Yeah,
Find it
but-
on sale, $3.99 a pound.
Yeah.
They can fuck off.
But still, you're gonna be disappointed in yourself though.
No, because
Takes
it's
all
what you're
day.
expecting.
Well,
like
no,
when you pick up the fat chick, like you're not expecting greatness. You're like, well, it'll do for tonight.
She can have hot
See, I'm the
dogs.
other way though, man. I just want it to be awesome no matter what though.
Yeah, but you it's like your hobby. I mean, a big hobby.
I do enjoy, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
Matt's too. Matt enjoys
Yeah.
it.
No,
He
I mean,
does-
I enjoy it, but I mean, it's not like if it fails, I won't still eat it.
I mean, I feel
you
like
know?
in general, it's not like super expensive. If you buy less than a Costco Prime on a brisket, a full packer, you're wasting your fucking time. It's
I
gonna
think
be
I
bad.
paid $70 for that one I had. It was 16 pounds.
Beef tallow.
That's not that
Yeah.
expensive.
No, it's not. But you know what I mean. It's not $3 a
So
pound.
like I helped a neighbor was having a big barbecue and he had a bunch of them and needed to smoke some, and so I was like, yeah, sure. So I did that, but I got for me to eat, like I had my own little pan. I got the good shit, and that's what I did, and I made the whatever Hy-Vee discount stuff for them. But you also slather it in beef tallow. It makes it slimy and fatty, and people think it's better. Excuse me. You can also go super ghetto and do a little dab of liquid smoke on it, so it picks up some of that smoke
I didn't
flavor. If
even
you want
have
to
liquid
cheat.
smoke, you fucking cheater.
Oh fuck yeah.
Oh, and this is a hobby for you? You're disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even have liquid smoke. That's fucking
I don't
cheaters
know.
material.
I did it the one
Liquid
time,
smoke.
but like that for me, like I could totally taste the difference.
But you're proving the point that if you're not going to spend the money, your product is not going to be as good.
oh
especially
yeah,
with brisket.
100%.
What people forget is like everybody like thinks when they go to order brisket because it's always like the thing to order at a barbecue place. I mean, that was originally like a shitty cut of meat. Like during the Depression, they just
people
fed
just
construction
ground up,
workers
yeah.
like because they like needed them to work. But like it was a shitty cut of meat that like turned into like this challenge to make like really
Right.
good meat out
No, I
of.
think you could take definitely if you go too low on the cut, like when you're going 4th of July sale from Hy-Vee where you're getting it for like $2.99 a
We
pound,
still didn't even
or
eat that at my
$3.99 a
house.
pound, right? That
It's
stuff's
still better.
tough because even your fat, the fat end is pretty lean and small, and so you end up with a big flat that doesn't have a lot of fat in it, and so that's why they're like, fuck it.
I'm always nervous to trim too much.
No, trim the fuck out of it.
I'm just nervous.
Why?
And
I
I,
feel
I
like
think
I
for
won't
good
waste
brisket, I think
anything.
those cattle, I haven't like this is no research, but I think they're bred for briskets. Like I think they raise them for good briskets. Because you
Yeah.
just get like a regular farmer, like around the Midwest or whatever. Like most guys, like, you get a brisket. It's not a very good brisket, really, when
That's
you make
mine.
it.
It was mediocre at best.
Yeah, like the every time we bought a cow, like they come out maybe 9-10 pounds untrimmed.
And they're pretty lean usually. I mean, Wagyu cattle are obviously like locked in a dark barn and just
Yeah.
like massaged to get fat.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess what's
I would
like,
totally take
there's
that
definitely
job.
like the low end meat you want to stay away from unless you just don't care about these people at all. But if you go kind of mid on your way up, you can make mid pretty damn good, but you have to be good. There's a very small room for error as far as like your timing, when you're going to wrap it, how long you leave it to wrap, your seasoning, your trimming, like it gets that. But the better the cut of meat, more variance you have in like how good you are. So if you're looking to make your first brisket, I would definitely go prime. I mean, I don't know about Wagyu because there's a. Well, I guess it depends where you get it from and like the different grades, which I don't know, gold.
I mean, it's
yellow,
probably
all
at least
that.
$100 more for starters. The
if you
same
get the
weight.
Wagyu.
I mean,
Right.
you're looking at like probably almost $10 a pound for Wagyu versus like,
like 7-ish, maybe 8 for.
what'd you pay for yours? It was
I have
16?
$70 for. I think you need to do like 5 briskets before you buy it. Spend
But you're
some
probably
money on
talking
Wagyu
$5-6
one.
a pound what you paid,
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah,
versus
but-
Wagyu's probably gonna be $10 to $12 depending on where you buy
but
it
like
from.
if you're doing your first ones, get a prime because you're not paying like high end top dollar, but it gives you enough leeway that when you go to smoke it, you don't have to be perfect when you wrap. You don't have to be perfect on your temps. Your trimming can be a little sloppy. Like you can leave a little too much fat on top, or you can actually take a little too much off and not fuck everything up. But if you go discount brisket, then when you slice too much off the top, because we all fucking chunk it when we're trying to take that fat off, we're like, just a little more, just a fuck, and you just take like a big scoop out.
Yeah.
If you do that on a shitty cut of meat, there's not enough good quality fat in the
Inside
meat
of it,
or on
yeah.
top.
And it's
to
all about the
kinda replace
intermuscular
that.
fat.
Right.
You want to look for the intermuscular
And so
fat.
it'll
for your
start to dry it
tenderness.
out.
And like seasoning wise, like we were talking about this weekend, I mean, it's real hard to over season a brisket. Like a lot of us like to use
Season the
binder.
fuck out of that thing.
And by binder, if you don't know, we're talking about something that's going to like gives the seasoning something to adhere to. Some
Right.
people use mustard, which is great. It doesn't leave any kind of flavor behind. I use like a Traeger hot sauce. I know Chris used he used the W sauce
Does the
on
hot
his.
sauce stay? The hot
You get a
sauce.
little bit of heat from
Yeah.
it.
You can get a little
I use
bit.
kind of a lot though, so I make sure I get
Yeah,
some.
if you use a lot, but like I don't really like horse sauce, but the W sauce is a great binder because it has just a little tiny bit of flavor.
Is that horse in the Shire?
It's
or
horse in
something?
the Shire.
Yeah.
He calls it W because he's lazy.
Yeah.
No, it's called the
No,
W.
it's called
That
W
one's actually
sauce.
called the W.
Is it really from who?
Dumb.
Who
Yeah,
makes
it's,
that one?
who makes that one?
Shields. No, I don't know.
But as far as like seasoning, like
I don't know who makes it, but you can get it at Shields.
Cosmos Barbecue or Cosmos Q with Cosmos with a K. He has like a little chart, and he talks about for a brisket, you're basically going to use a half a can of seasoning for a brisket. So if you think you're over seasoning, you're probably not.
Right.
That is a big chunk of meat. Number one, it's going to be on the smoker for a long time, sweating seasoning off. Number two,
Right.
so
I think you can if you do any one thing, like some people put pepper and some people put salt, and like they'll try to get fancy and make their own mixes, and you can definitely go too far with one of them, right?
yeah,
like
so like especially that big coarse pepper
that big
can get kind of
because
aggressive.
like I like that all the fancy guys say coarse or 16 mesh. I just
That's
grip
like-
coarse ground. I'm like, fuck it, it's close enough. Sprinkle that on because that's like a big chunk of seasoning that sits on top, and it gets really dark, and it helps with your bark. So like the visual color, and it adds a little bit of spice to it. But you can definitely
Is
put
it
too
all
much.
the bark all about how you do seasoning it, or what you're wrapping it
I
with?
think there's seasoning, but I think it's also your time at low temperature.
so.
like, if you let your
yours
brisket-
was black and it was delicious.
Yeah.
Like,
If you
My
let
bark
your-
was pretty decent, and it was
Yeah.
on low temperature for a long
Yeah.
time.
If you
So-
let your brisket go, I mean, I run mine at like 250, and if you let it go to like 170 before you wrap it, you're probably going to get a decent bark. Remember, and meat only takes smoke up to like 160, 170. So after that,
so I'm wrapping it early. I'm wrapping it like 165.
you can let it go a little bit. You can let it go 170.
I used to think 160,
175.
165 was the thing, but then the more I've kind of watched and read, people push it a little further to that
to
170,
get it bark,
175.
better bark.
But I also think it kind of depends on what you're cooking it at. So, like for me, I do this super long smoke, right? So it's a 12-hour overnight
That's
at
kinda what Chris did,
180.
yeah.
So it's spending a lot of time at that low temperature. So I can push it up because I don't have to worry about like cooking it too fast and drying it out. But if you're cooking 250 is probably fine, but some people cook at 275, like you're trying to get this thing done somewhat quick. The faster you're cooking it, you're going to get more of your juices out. You're going to toughen stuff up. So I would want to wrap it earlier if I was cooking warmer, cooking hotter and faster.
This is probably like taboo
I don't know.
or something.
I don't know if you
but
have to. 'Cause, I mean, you see some of those guys do like a 300 degree one, and they still wrap it at the same temps. Because your meat temp isn't really going to change.
When do you turn it up to 300?
I don't know. I'm talking about some guys who do hot and fast. Like, so we were just
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
Mad Scientist Barbecue, who later we're going to talk about some good like resources. Mad Scientist Barbecue on YouTube has good stuff. But he did one while he was in line at Franklin Barbecue.
Oh, I saw I haven't watched that
But he
video
did it
yet.
on a ugly drum smoker, which is a 55-gallon drum turned
Yeah.
into a smoker. And he didn't tell us temps. Usually they'll run those at like 300 plus. And then he wrapped it at like 170 or whatever. But he wrapped it in foil to make it cook faster again.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's either way. I think it's going to change your bark a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that as far as the temp you wrap it at, just some more. You're just going to take more smoke in
Yeah.
on that end of it. And as
Yeah,
far
I
as
think with
briskets,
Traegers, you need to take more smoke in as much as you can. That's what I think, anyway.
well, that's the
Just
difference
from
With
the
like
research
pellets
I've
in
done.
general.
and
Yeah.
our pellets are not 100% what they say they are most of the time. There's
Don't
some
get
brands.
Traeger brand pellets. There's definitely better pellets out there.
There's some brands that are better than others, but a lot of them have oak in them because oak burns hotter.
Mm-hmm.
If it's hickory, it's probably not all hickory, and this is probably 90%. Not just shitting on Traeger. It's probably a lot of pellet
Most
brands.
of like you can even look at. So I think like Lumberjack is a brand that I really like
Mm-hmm.
because they make a wide variety.
Where do
I
you
think
get
I've talked
that?
You can get that at a bunch of places. I get mine from Northwest Feed and Grain.
Does
up
it
in
help?
Omaha.
Doesn't help any
Omaha.
barbecue.
I get it from
I think they
Hy-Vee.
have it too.
They have it
Hy-Vee
at
has it. A lot
Oh,
of places
Ace
have it
Hardware.
now. But if you look at the Lumberjack pellets in particular, they'll go through and if they have like a competition mix, a master mix, some of these mixes that they have, it will say, oak, cherry, hickory kind of thing on there. They also make stuff that says 100% cherry, 100% hickory, and they have 100% oak, which is one of I think the only places I've found it at. And when at least for their brand, when they say 100%, it is 100% of that wood, and it's the entire log. So you get bark, you get that thin layer
Oh,
under the
cool.
bark, you get
Yeah.
all the different sizes where other places you don't get the bark if you get some kind of mix. So the bark is where you also get some of that extra flavor profile. So you can, and I've bought that 100% stuff and like mixed my own. Now it would have been better if I actually paid attention, like how much of what went in there. But I was like, hopper, a little bit there, a little bit there. Oh, that was good.
You ever mix them,
That's
Yeah.
what he's saying. Yeah, he just mixed them.
but different brands?
Only because
that
I
would
was
fuck it
running
up?
out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'd mess anything up. If you have two
Nah.
different qualities,
Wait
I
for
guess.
once you like we were talking about the brisket. Once you get past like 165 ish, 170, you're just cooking. It's not really the meat's tightened up
Oh,
enough.
yeah,
It's not
okay.
taking much more
Yeah.
smoke. So if you have like good pellets and okay pellets, run the good pellets early. Run the
Yeah.
shitty pellets later.
That's a good
'cause the
point.
lip-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
'Cause
I have-
you're just cooking.
I have
That's good.
I get the big 40-pound bags of hickory pellets for the lumberjack, and I've been using a lot of the knotty wood pellets now to cook with first. And if I'm going longer than 3 hours or over that 170 mark, I will cook up to that point and actually drain the hopper out.
What
and
about
then put
different
that other
meats?
stuff back in.
Like, do you feel like you need to change pellets for
Yes,
different meats?
I do.
So I just,
do
go
you
straight,
like-
I just go hickory straight across the board.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, if you
But some
do
people
change them, do you
like
vacuum it
fruits
out?
with. No, I don't ever vacuum it out. Like I don't vacuum
No.
because I mean by the time your Traeger warms up, it's probably burned through like a good amount of what's in the auger.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like if I was, I mean, this would be assuming that I emptied the hopper every time, but before I started up, I might empty the hopper and I don't know, God
that
knows
seems
what
like a
was
lot
in
of
there.
work.
No, they have a trap door.
On the bottom, you just open
I
the
don't
door.
think mine does.
Well, it's
Yeah,
because
that-
probably the grease probably welded it shut.
Right.
They all-
But yeah, I don't
it has
worry
a
about it.
trap
Or if
door.
if I want to be sure, then I let it warm up and I'll let it run for 20 or 30 minutes just to be sure that like all that stuff's gone through. And then
I-
put over pellets I want in there.
I found the trap door because I was like, "What's this?"
Oh, nice.
And I was like, "Oh shit!"
I'll show you my
Trying-
trap.
Yeah. But I think definitely for like chicken, turkey, are the two that I generally tend to go towards, like a pecan wood and some cherry woods or some like fruit woods.
And
Lumberjack
pecan's going
has
to be
really
a
good fruit wood
stronger
mix.
than the fruit woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
fruit
it's
woods
like
going to be a real
fr-
mild taste.
Yeah. Fruit woods for me are like sweet, not much smoke. And pecan is like a sweet smoke. Like it's more
I
smoky.
feel like it's between like a fruit and a hickory.
Yeah. And you can get some of that with some of those blends out there that are like hickory and cherry are two really common ones that get mixed together.
And that's kind of
Do you
like
think your style of cooking changes with temperature outside, like the weather outside? Like if it's winter,
Well-
you're cooking something different, or
no, your time might change if it's like 100 degrees out.
well, no, not time, but like flavors, like
Oh no, I don't think so.
Okay,
I mean your pellets like. I mean that's kind of actually a good thing about there. People don't know pellets very well. Like mesquite is going to be like you're eating smoke.
Yeah.
So you have to like smoke if you're going to
Yes.
do mesquite.
yeah.
like I really like. So I just have like a tub of mesquite that I'll use, and I'll mix mesquite with some of the oak.
If you cut it, yeah, mesquite. So it's probably mesquite's your strongest, then oak, then your hickory.
I haven't done much with maple. It's tough to find just
Yeah.
straight.
And then
maple.
you're going to like your pecan and then your fruits. Now there's a
Yep.
bunch of other like
Yeah.
ones you found that Naughty Wood
So
has
like
a bunch
Naughty
of different
Wood,
brands and
I
stuff
really
in there.
like. Naughty Wood only does a couple kinds. They do an almond, plum, and then a wine infused almond.
And you have those Crown Royal ones, but that's just from
Yeah.
and it's a Crown Royal
Oak, like oak cask.
oak cask that was turned into pellets.
No shit.
I haven't used them yet because I got to figure out what I'm going to use them for.
Right, I want to use
Wait,
something.
where'd
that-
you get those at? That sounds
I
awesome.
don't know. He's brought me a bag of them.
Yeah, I got them from I think Home Depot.
No way.
You have to order them. I mean, you can get them other places
That's
I found, but yeah, I
awesome.
was like, I was looking for something there. It was like, you might be interested in black because you're fat, and I'm like, you know what, you're
And you
right.
drink. you barbecue
So that-
and drink?
So
Crown Royal
we got that
pellets.
deal
We
for
talk
you.
alcoholic.
we talked about that a few weeks ago.
Am I drinking or?
No. I
Oh.
know.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm awake, I'm usually drinking, but I only drink when I work. So
No, you don't because you don't work all the time.
I work a couple hours.
I
a week.
had a buddy that said he only was going to drink when he smoked, so he just smoked more.
No, I'm like I always like I enjoy drinking while I'm smoking meats outside though. Like I really
Well, actually, have you? Okay, you probably didn't actually look in your instructions when you put your grease box together. And I don't know if they still do it, but Traeger's recipe book that used to come with it told you how many beers it took.
No
Did yours do that?
way.
My,
would
pro,
say-
my Pro 34 did.
Yeah, it would say turn your Traeger on, wait about 2 beers, and it should be warmed up.
That's good.
Yeah, they used to give it out in
Yeah.
beers was the time. I don't know
Yeah.
if they still do it anymore. Did your new one
My
do it?
pro, I didn't look for that in the new one. The new
Yeah.
one, I didn't really read the instructions. I was like, fuck it, I'll figure it
Yeah, it
out.
was man stuff.
Damn.
Yeah, and then
That's cool.
Yeah, it used to be all beers, and it would just be like, it would be bottles of beer lined up, like
Yeah.
how many it was supposed to take for you to do something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We kind of got off on that one a little bit.
But-
But there's some good tips in there.
Yeah, and so, but if you have a pellet smoker and you're looking to go, like you want that heavy smoke flavor. So before I got the bougie Cadillac here on the Pro, you can go with
Is that the one I bought you?
No,
That's
you
the
never
one that's
fucking
on
came
order.
through with anything.
right.
You're the worst fucking gift giver there is.
Terrible.
He bought an ice machine.
But you can start
He
off
did.
with a heavier smoke. So I've done when I was first doing when I had the Pro 34 and I wanted to do like my first brisket or some the ribs or some other beef pieces that I wanted more smoke into it. Start off with mesquite and you check it a little more regularly, right? So I mean after the first hour I empty the pellet and then I dump in hickory and cherry or something to kind of not give super heavy smoke, but you can mess with pellets throughout if you're trying to get that different smoke profile. You can also get those smoke tubes, which I've used that you use
Which
for
we'll
like
kind
cold
of get to those.
smoking.
We're going to talk about some accessory stuff. here in a
Yeah,
little
so you
bit
can
too.
use those to try to get some more. So there's ways to get
Yeah.
more smoke, but you're not going to get offset or pit smoke flavor from
your pellets.
your pellet.
It's not the same, which we'll get to that too.
But you primarily use Traeger, right?
Yeah, I got shit to do, man.
I hear
Yeah,
that.
set it, forget it kind of a deal. As far as like meats, like beef wise, if you live somewhere that's not a Costco and you can't get to a Costco, Creekstone Farms is a good place you can order beef from. Snake River Farms is you're going to be your Wagyu, but they also on their website you can switch over to their Double R Ranch, and they sell prime and
Cool.
I don't know if they sell choice or just prime,
Yeah.
but there's some good stuff. And they I know Snake River and I order, they do like next day or 2-day dry ice ship.
What's the difference between choice and prime? At a
That's
high
something-
level.
The USDA, I think it's the amount of intermuscular fat
So
that's in it. So it's a
okay.
bit more
Okay.
like it's a more tender cut of meat.
Cool.
I don't know the 100% on that, but and then Wagyu, they have like a black and a gold grade on Snake River. I think that's just like I don't know if that's not
Marketing.
like a USDA thing.
No, it's just.
I think it's just their thing, but and I've done both. I don't really notice the difference between black or gold, and the price isn't that much different, but it's different enough. But yeah, those are some places that you can order from. I mean, obviously Costco's always a good bet. I don't know. I haven't been to Sam's Club. I know some grocery stores carry Prime, but not that many, especially on briskets because the selection's not that huge. But yeah, as far as like beef stuff like that, I know Fairway has a good selection of stuff, especially in the pork department. But find stuff and play around with it.
Yep.
As far as entrees go, whether it's ribs, pork butt. A pork butt you can just buy. It's like the easiest thing. You can buy like the cheapest pork butt ever, and it'll probably turn out good.
right.
$13 pork butt.
Ribs, you can buy the 3-pack at
Yeah.
Costco. I know you get yours at Fairway a lot of times.
I think I'm going to go back and get a Costco membership, just the very baseline.
Wait,
just to get
I take
meat.
something back. Earlier, I said pulled pork.
For your entree of choice.
Yes.
Is this only because we've ridiculed you for it?
No.
I've never made one.
No.
You've never made a pork butt?
No, it's like playing dodgeball with special ed
my
kids.
favorite thing to make, because you mentioned how much it costs
You're
at
right.
IV, is doing the poor man's burn ends are my favorite thing to
with the
make.
chuck roast.
Yes.
I do that for chili.
That is so,
Yeah.
it's so good.
And we'll give you some ideas where those recipes are at because that's a recipe from
Yeah.
Meat Church, right?
No, it's a Hey
Grill Hay.
Yeah.
She has some good stuff too.
Yeah, it's awesome. But that's my favorite.
So what about appetizers? I like the pig shots.
I do. But what if it's non-meat related? I like deviled eggs. Like
Deviled
the ones
eggs.
that,
Oh, the smoked deviled eggs are good.
Yep.
Smoked queso dip is pretty good. But here's the twist though. I cold smoke my cheese first.
I was just going to say, yep.
Get a cold smoke. We'll get to your accessory stuff, but you can get some cold smokers that you can use. Well, we can just talk about them anyway. I guess we'll get to accessories. But a cold smoker, like you were talking, Matt was talking about, like the Amazing tube. They also make a tube where they make like a maze that you basically put pellets in. You don't have to have your smoker on. You put the pellets in it, you light the pellets, and then a little bit of distance away, put whatever you want to cold smoke, whether it's cheese, nuts, ketchup. I've seen people cold smoke
Nice.
water and then freeze it and make ice cubes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've actually done
For
that
old
for old
fashions?
fashions. Yeah.
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 But I still try to get, if you have a second rack, try to put whatever you're cold smoking, in my opinion, up on the second rack. If you have a Traeger, put the cold smoker on the opposite side of the chimney, and then so it pulls across to the chimney. And if you cold smoke anything you smoke, cold smoke, actually anything you smoke, after it sits in the fridge for another day, it'll be even more smoky. So like when I cold smoke cheese, I'll put it in baggies real tight and let it sit in the fridge for like a couple days before I even eat it.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Because it'll pull in more of the smoke flavor.
I think you got to be careful with cheese though, because you can quickly turn pretty like I don't know, like harsh. Like if you're not careful.
You only want
with
to do
it.
you go for about 2 hours with cheese, but you need to make sure it's below 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, your cheese will fucking melt. But even when I do the queso, I'll cold smoke Velveeta.
Yeah.
I'll put
I've
the
done that. That's
Velveeta
the
in
first way I
there.
did it, yeah.
And I can't remember. We'll talk. It's on one of Matt Pittman's recipes where it's like 3 different kinds of cheese, I think, and the Velveeta. I put it on there, cold smoke it for a couple days. Then you make, because sometimes people think, oh, I made this on the smoker. I smoked it.
It's
no,
gonna be
you
super
didn't.
smoky. I'm like,
You just
well,
cooked it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're making something on your smoker like 300 and above,
Yeah.
you're just
grilling.
like cooking stuff for the most part. Like you're not going to get a lot of
Right.
a
I
ton
think
of
people that
smoke
make
on it.
like when they do like their smoked baked beans and mac and cheese and like some of those things that are smoked side dishes, you need to smoke the stuff that you're putting in there. So if like if you were to do beans, you would put beans and spread them out
Yeah, I see
on
what
a
you're saying,
pan to get as much surface area as you can, and then smoke them really really low, or even with this cold smoker, and then you can start combining things together. Because like if you think about, even if you cook something like a giant vat of macaroni and cheese, and say you were able to cook it at 250 for
So
like 2
cold
hours,
smoke
right?
the cheese first.
Cold smoke the cheese first, right? Because
That's
the
a
only
great
way that
idea.
stuff's getting in there is surface area. So you either need to open your smoker and stir it every 10 minutes, which will take forever.
But even still, then it doesn't get a ton of smoke.
It doesn't get a ton of smoke in there. But if you smoke, like if you're going to use Velveeta, like you can cut up your Velveeta into blocks and then smoke that, and all that surface area is going to pick up smoke and bring it into your dish.
I think the cream cheese is good. It's easy.
Smoked
Smoke
cream
the
cheese for an
with some
appetizer is
spicy
super
jelly
good.
on top.
You
some
know what's
Ritz
really
crackers.
Dude, what's
Yeah.
really fat is smoking cream cheese and then just scooping it with Doritos.
Sweet as a smoked cream cheese
Delicious.
with honey hog on it from Meat Church.
Oh, come on now. It's brilliant.
And then I put a little jalapeno rib glaze on it from Cosmos with some pickled jalapenos on top.
what are you talking about?
And then
It's
you go
great.
after it with the Ritz crackers. Chris and I tore up some of that one night.
Yeah.
That sounds...
And it's
But it takes a
easy.
while.
It's
It
super,
takes, like-
I bet
Right.
it's really easy. You don't got to worry about it.
You just basically put it
know.
on some foil and kind of
Yeah,
fold
but
the
how
foil
long,
up.
how long do you, like, when is it overdone? How long are you waiting for that?
I think it's like 2 hours at like
Yeah.
200 degrees or something like that.
Oh, wait, you're not cold smoking that?
No, cream
No.
cheese has like got a weird makeup to it. It doesn't like, it softens, but it doesnn't melt.
Wow, so you
I did it
actually
once
got
for
the heat on.
I can't remember what I did it for, but it was pretty easy. Just throw it on there. Don't have to worry about it. And then
Yeah, it's just
So
I think it's a
good.
couple hours. Some people do like 180, and I know some people do like 225.
I think the warm on the trigger is what 160.
165 is as low as they go.
Yeah.
Is it?
The
I think
keep
the
warm is
34 is like
165.
180, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't warm 180 on the
I don't have a super smoke setting on mine.
You don't have the wire fire.
Well, I do,
Oh,
but
Why don't you have a good one?
did you
Mike?
just wipe the grease off? Is it covered up?
no.
Oh,
You're so cheap you didn't even buy a good one for yourself. Not
bought
only
it-
did you lie to us, you
you
lied
bought
to
it at
yourself.
Costco.
You got to have one with a super smoke. That's where it's
Yeah,
at.
I don't know.
You know, I don't use super smoke that much though.
I used it.
I know
on
you
the-
guys use it. A
I mean,
lot,
you
right?
can.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, the instructions usually are around if you don't have that setting, just like start it at 80 or whatever the lowest is, and let it go for a little bit. You know, I mean,
You can do that too.
Yeah.
I mean, super smoke just pumping more pellets, or
Yeah,
like-
it's just burning more pellets, getting more
It's just-
smoke into
yeah.
it.
you know, I got that. I don't even know if they make them anymore. Is it Silverton 620? Is at Costco, right? And it looks, it's a Traeger brand, but only Costco sold it, right? And that's like their thing.
I mean, it's a nice looking Traeger.
It's
Yeah.
fine. It just looks like a little grill. It's not big. I mean, even now with the family or.
But you
just-
have the Amazon tube thing, right? Didn't I get you one of those?
Yes, you did. So
You can light that in there if you know super smoke. You can put
Right.
that in there and light it.
But if
Oh,
you
that's
want
a
to
good
cold smoke stuff, you don't even need a smoker. You can do it in your grill. If you just want to.
Oh yeah,
smoke
you should have
for
some kind of
sure.
enclosed
Yeah.
area.
Right.
When I first, well, we probably already told the story, but like I bought his old. It was secondhand to you,
Yeah, my sister had it for years,
So-
and then I saw it fell over my truck on the way to your house.
and it still worked fine. Honestly, that was you had it for probably 6 years, or it was,
I had
it was 6 years old.
yeah, because I had it. We used to use it at the meat when we made fucking
Oh, shit,
burgers at the
yeah.
meat.
So
That little tiny guy.
that one that had a lot of traffic through it, and it's 6 years old. I bought it from him, so I'm the third owner of this thing.
But this was before it was made in China, by the way. This is when it was still American made.
Yeah, and he brings it over, and it does fall over in the back. And it's like, hey man, I dented it. You still want it? Like, what am I, gay?
I know. I was like, let's at least fucking turn it on and make sure it works.
Yeah.
It just fucking slammed down in the back of my truck.
So we had that for
Like 3 or 4 years
3
before
or
it
4
blew over in
years.
the storm a couple times.
So it did, and I lit it on. I didn't know how to take care of it. Like I know not gonna know how to take care of it now, but it did blow over a couple times. I mean, like pellet box bent, flipped over. I mean, shit everywhere, right? And then I've lit the whole thing on fire a couple times, like doing. I got like fat from a pulled pork stuck in the chute because I didn't like clean it, like the chute, the drain, right?
What the fuck?
And it
God, that almost sounded like sexual.
I know. So it just slides off the meat and gets in the little chute there, and it just the heat just caught it, and it blows the whole thing up, right? And it's this is the first pulled pork I've ever made, and it is on fire. So
it's still good.
It was. So I opened it up.
It was
and we
perfect.
Just what I was looking for.
Well, we had planned on having our neighbors over to have like tacos and all this stuff.
Instead, you had the fire department.
Almost. So I open it up, and I'm like waiting for everything to do its thing, and like the inside, I think that was either old paint or like old something was like kind of hanging off the lid, like all this old, you know what I'm talking about, like the debris from the previous cooking.
Yeah.
It was all is back there, and the fire finally dies out, and then I close it, and it was like aired out, and I finally got it to start again, and I'm like, dude, like, fuck, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with this, so I'm just gonna cook the rest of it, I guess. I still had the probes in there. That was a third-party probe, not it was a Thermo King one that he had hooked me up with.
Also sounds sexual.
Thermo
Probe, yeah. And it wasn't. I didn't have like the fancy Traeger with the probe that was
I don't trust those
analog
anyway.
into it. Me neither. They suck. So I was just like, well, it's still at a decent temperature. It didn't like catch totally on fire. It was charred. I mean, it was black. Like this whole
bark.
thing. It was
It's just good bark.
So I was like, well, everyone says you can't mess up a pulled pork because there's so much fat on it.
But you'll find a way.
Yeah, and I thought that I did.
Challenge accepted.
And like another
Watch.
10 hours later, 10, 12 hours later, I pull it out and get everything, rest and all that stuff, and I start pulling it with like a KitchenAid with like the bread. What's it? That bread
You
attachment.
can just use your hands like a man.
No. This is really easy. Have you
The
done
dough hook?
Yeah, have you done that?
I've never made a pulled pork, remember?
I got these.
That's right.
Because I do men's things.
All you do is you take you cut off chunks of
Oh,
that.
you mean these
Yeah.
dough hooks?
These are my lifting straps.
Yeah.
So you just cut chunks off of it and you put it in the dough hook thing and run it real slow and it pulls it perfectly. You don't have to touch it. It's amazing.
Why would you want to touch the meat? I'm scalding my hands on hot brisket because I want to fucking touch it.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to do that. I don't know what you're arguing here, but yeah.
No, I want to touch it.
Did you pull the bone out?
It just falls. It just falls.
Was
right
it
out.
clean?
Yeah, it just
Oh,
falls.
well.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. So
Yeah.
so I did that, but it was the best. It's honestly the best one I've ever made. It was my first one because I lit
You
that fuck on
rendered all
fire.
that fat. Yeah.
So that was your best one, and they've just been shit since then?
No, they've been
So
they've all been
That-
great.
they've not
That
been
was just
shit.
excellent.
But that was my favorite because it had real bark to it because it was charred.
Charred.
Like,
so that film of whatever was coming off the grill when it was on fire, you just let that land on top of the.
Yeah.
You just let that land
No.
on top of
It's
the.
like
bowl.
little spice flakes.
no,
Yeah.
I actually I had like my little metal spatula and I was like scraping it to I cleaned it out.
Oh.
And then I had to restart the thing because it was like air it out and beeping at me and shit.
Oh,
you
I
know?
got too hot.
So this was kind of like one of those, you know how forest fires happen because there's too many trees and they got to like clean themselves. So then there's a fire. That's what happened with your grill.
Yeah.
It had to clean itself
Yeah.
finally, so it just was like, oh, I'll just catch on fire.
That's exactly what
I'll
happened.
do it
But
myself.
that's not the only time. So that was the most severe time. And then I told Brett like, hey, this thing exploded. Like there was like bodies everywhere. I mean, it was a violent episode of smoking pulled pork. And then the next day we had this hellacious fucking tornado that rolls through and rips the asshole out of this Traeger and throws it across my yard. And my wife's like, do you want to smoke the chicken or want me to cook it inside? And I'm like, I'm going to fucking smoke it. And I had to like rebuild the Traeger, put it back together, and it started again. And I was
telling
like,
That was
Oh
the
my
old school
God!
one.
So it smokes all this stuff. The chicken finishes, and then the next day I'm doing some bullshit like burgers, and something finally happened where there was a giant electrical fire and everything just melted. So I was like, I'm going shopping, but it lasted my abuse, and then 6 years prior,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
it was-
me not cleaning it.
It was an oldie.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was a good time.
So we got cream cheese, pig shots for some good smoked appetizers. Chicken queso
Pork belly burn ends are pretty easy.
oh yeah, pork belly burn ends are a real
Those-
game changer.
It's easy to do.
Be close
them
to a bathroom.
Too much, but they're really good to like. You got to pay attention because like unless you get them all equally sized, you get some burnt ones that you just feed to the dogs.
yeah.
Is that the
those
one?
are good.
Is that the video that Malcolm does where he's like, I usually only eat go back for 3 on camera? But are those the pork belly burn ends? I can't remember which.
I can't
one that
remember
was.
because I got my original recipe from Meat Church, but Malcolm from How to Barbecue Right, he went back for the third, which he's gone back for thirds on a lot of things based on his size and stature.
Do you cook during the week? Like,
Yeah.
Usually on like Mondays if I do, but Matt works from home so he can cook all
Yeah.
the time.
So I do shit all the time.
Matt's probably got something on right now.
We might smoke some briskets here. We might smoke a brisket here on a Friday.
I hope so.
I got a couple.
Started on Thursday night.
Maybe we could actually all train together.
No, I think if I started like
One
like
time.
5 o'clock, it'll be done around.
We should start a
It'll be
competition
done around
team.
noon.
We'll go take some.
Dude, we've been talking about
take
selling
some
barbecue
cha-
out of this
take some
joint on like
I'm on
Fridays.
his team, and I'm just going to
Championships.
drink.
I mean, all of us
eat.
together, Mike. We're not dividing ourselves.
Yeah, but you know what though? I don't know that I would like. You know, what? I don't know that I would like competition
Us
barbecue.
versus you.
No, like I've had competition barbecue.
I don't think
and
competition
like
barbecue would
the
be as
flavor
good.
of it as much.
They do a lot of-
I
they do
was
a lot of stuff
supposed to
different.
go
I'm talking
to-
like small stuff, like where you just, not where there's like, like a small little event, like at a church or something. You do some, and you go win that.
Yeah.
I'm not talking where you're going to Kansas City and competing against.
Yeah, but they do a lot of like injections, and they do stuff for appearance.
Oh, they do
Yeah.
chicken thighs and all that. They do chicken thighs.
A lot of it's
the
how- a lot of
appearance
it's how
stuff
it
is
looks.
so stupid. I just want to have
Like when
good
they do
food.
chicken thighs, they'll pull the skin, scrape the fat from underneath, put the skin back on.
Yeah, and then
No.
They fold
they
it
have
into
to
little
be
squares and
Yeah.
smoke it.
completely
Forget
uniform
it.
in size.
I would rather
Perfect
just make
bite.
some good barbecue on a Friday, and if people want to like pay money for it because it's good, then that would. I mean,
Right, like
that's
to me, like
winning.
the competition barbecue should be like you've got 100 people in the backyard. What do they like the most? Because you're not. I mean, I guess it
I'm
kinda goes
pretty
to,
sure
like,
that Aaron Franklin has never won a barbecue competition. I don't think he's ever competed.
True, but I guess it's kind of
Well,
like
maybe
dog
that's
shows,
kinda-
right? Like you
that's
look at a
kinda
lot of the
easy.
dog show dogs, and you're
Next
like,
meet,
those
we
guys
can
are
have a
gross.
tent, and we'll.
Well, I think the strongman. We're hosting a strongman at Omaha Barbell in October.
Yep.
And I think Matt and I and whoever else are gonna fucking do some barbecue.
Yeah,
If we don't start it before then.
yeah.
But anyway, we should probably move on with this a little bit here. Seasonings. What are some of the best seasonings and places you get them from?
Texas sugar is my
Spit.
favorite right
Really?
now.
Really, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I was kind of let down.
But
with
which
that
is
one.
from Meat Church.
Meat Church.
I just really like steaks. I put on everything.
I like Texas sugar
Burgers.
the best. Licking it off my finger, that was the best flavor it had.
What do you not like it on meat?
I just didn't get a lot of flavor out of it when I cooked it.
What
Could be me
I don't
though.
know.
I mean, I did have the
It's
COVID
sweet
like
to
2
me.
years ago, and I still
it's
can't
very
taste right.
sweet to me.
Yeah,
and
I don't-
I
Like
that
if I
shit.
was gonna go, I would the things that you would use that on. I would probably use honey hog instead.
I don't like
Or
that
hot honey hog.
anymore.
Hot honey hog, I really
I
like.
used to love it. I haven't had the hot one yet, but I used it too many times. I had like 3 giant things.
I think honey hog is definitely a barbecue seasoning, like meant to go with things that you're gonna smoke, and like it needs that smoke to offset. There's some things like, what is it? Cosmos SPG.
Yep. Salt,
Oh,
pepper,
do
garlic.
that too.
That
Yeah.
one, like that one, you can use on everything. Like I'll put that
Yeah.
on steak and,
Yeah.
and the eggs, and that stuff goes. You don't have to smoke it. But I think some of the
Eggs,
others, like
nice.
you need that smoke and the combination of like the bark and the smoke flavor and some of that.
So you guys,
bitterness
so
to
my
go with it.
the wood floors in my house are like lighter. You remember?
Are we gonna smoke them?
Well,
Tear 'em
the
up and-
honey hog is kind of red when you.
It's orange.
Yeah, it's dark, right? I have fucking spilt that on my floor, and that bitch is stained.
Just let the dog clean it up.
I've never done that before. I don't spill seasoning.
No, I mean the meat, like the meat liquid.
Nope.
Just
Never had that problem.
Really,
No.
dude? I've ruined clothes.
Really?
Yeah.
God, I remember my first beer.
I
Fucking rookie moves over here.
I just got like his pair of swim. So the last year when you guys all came over and I had like
Chris wasn't there. He didn't get invited.
No, he won't be this year either.
No, I'm not definitely never coming.
Okay.
Either of you.
You're gonna miss out. Matt came back twice, but I like ruined my shorts with the splashing of nasty grease
How
on
are you
them.
so bad at that? I
don't
mean,
know.
I get it. I guess you're pretty bad at a lot of stuff.
I was drinking
Well,
and
it
laughing and
wasn't-
having a good time, but then
Girl wasn't
again
clean,
recently, I thought I was being very careful to
Get a
not
fucking apron.
spill. No, I'm a man.
Anyway,
Everyone
Chris,
has an apron.
Chris, what do you got for season?
Yet you use your bread dough hook to pull your meat.
yeah.
It's so convenient.
Hey, where's my mixer
Okay, you guys just told me to get an attachment for a mixer that I can't afford.
to grind meat?
Yeah.
That is
Oh, you
way
can
different.
definitely afford that.
Yeah.
I can't afford it.
Chris,
Yeah.
what's your seasoning of choice?
When I make pork butts, it's just regular Malcolm's barbecue seasoning.
How to
When I-
barbecue, right? Killer
yeah.
hogs.
Yeah, killer hogs. And then when I do ribs, I like the voodoo from Meat Church on the ribs.
Got a little jalapeno in there.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know. That's just what
I can
I've
get
tried.
behind, I can get behind the voodoo.
The thing is, though, with the ribs, I think I kind of mixed them a little bit because I use a little bit of Malcolm's vinegar sauce when I wrap them in the foil with some butter and some brown sugar. So that's a little bit. I kind of mix it up a little bit.
Can you
there.
put that one on everything?
What, the vinegar sauce?
Yeah.
I put it in the pork butt sometimes when after I pull it by hand.
You guys are missing out. You don't understand the point of that.
But yeah,
Well,
you
I can
can
say
use that
that I've
vinegar
never
sauce.
made a pork butt. Like,
You
I've
haven't
never-
either?
No.
Oh, then fuck you guys.
Well, here, okay, two reasons. First, it's like child's play. Number one,
It is really easy.
I've made my
I mean,
own
it's
bread.
super
using
easy.
a red
Oh,
hook, though.
I've made it in the Traeger.
But I
Ooh,
like
that'd be
the
I have.
pork butt.
I really
but
have.
number
The
two,
cornbread?
I don't
Yeah.
make one because my wife doesn't eat pork, and if I eat an entire pork butt, I'm gonna shit my life away.
How's that any different than now?
Entire-
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't, you
Last
just
like 2 or 3 weeks, I've been pretty good on not
You
you ate
shitting
some
myself.
fucking
Yeah.
wheat thins.
No,
and
I've
almost
done bread.
died.
I haven't mentioned that, but we've made bread dough and had it raise in the instead of
Rise.
the rise right in the smoker being cold smoked.
race.
All raise.
And then
that?
so then it so the flavor really starts to take to the dough, and then we'll use the same temperature as you would in the oven, and we cook it in the Traeger, but it's still in a Dutch oven
Yeah.
have a
on the
Dutch oven.
Traeger, and the bread is really crunchy, like German bread, like really
Or like
crunchy.
fancy artisanal
Oh
stuff.
my god, it's so good!
Yeah.
You guys have to do
In my
that.
Dutch oven, you don't mean farting under the covers and pulling them over your wife's head.
No, I do mean that.
I did that probably the worst fart I've ever had in my entire life. I did that to Aaron. And it was one of those where like you've got farts all day long and you're just test farting.
That's far,
it's
until
just-
you go prime time.
Right, and it was just like nothing. And,
hot.
and then they started getting
No.
louder and louder, but they didn't smell at all. And I was like, "Oh, this could be so funny." So I, of course, we're laying
That's
in
the
bed.
one that's,
I-
that's
Dude,
just coming over.
dude.
The one that's just coming over the turd.
Like you're just
Over.
farting around something.
I pulled it over and farted. I'm like, hee 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 hee, and then she just starts fucking
And she's
punching me in the
dead.
side. She's furious, and she's like, and so I open the cover, like, oh goddamn! Like throw all the covers off. We left the room. It was terrible.
Hey, I
But,
can appreciate, by the way, we'll get back to the topic at hand, but I can appreciate, I was listening to Drew and the other gentleman's name. I can't remember.
Wes?
Yeah, I never met him. But they were saying, listening to podcasts about shit in your pants, and you're like, hey, thanks. I'm like, yeah, they've listened.
Yeah, yeah. I gave when Amber and I first started dating, I gave her the old covered wagon just to make sure she's going to stay around. Because you got to know if they're going to fucking stay
Did you
around.
say yeehaw when he did it?
No, I just pulled it up and fucking see what happens, and she stayed around. So she made it through. But yeah, seasonings wise, I'm probably. Here's the thing: is a lot of people I think, which Hy-Vee is carrying more. Hy-Vee is local. I'm sure HEBs, all these other places are
Ooh,
probably starting to carry
HEB
more.
is, I think.
Ace Hardware. Don't just get like your regular. And nothing against Lowry's. I use Lowry's on my brisket, regular Lowry's. But yeah, get into like check out some of these guys from Killer Hogs, which is Malcolm. How to Barbecue Right is his website. Meat Church with Matt Pittman. He's got great seasonings. Cosmos Q, Cosmos with a K. And this kind of goes in another part I was talking about with like some of the best resources for barbecue. And the reason I give these guys credit on their seasonings, we talk about them a lot because they put out some of the best free information. Hey Grill,
Videos and everything.
Hey Grill, Hey, she does a good job. I don't have any of her seasonings, but she does have some good recipes.
Oh, does
out
she
there.
have product? I thought she was a blogger.
No, she has product now, I believe.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, these guys give away a lot of great free information. Obviously, Matt Pittman is part of the Traeger team, so he does stuff, but he also cooks on offsets. He does a little bit of everything. So that's why I always give these guys credit because I've learned so much from those guys. Especially like Matt Pittman, if you want to learn how to trim a brisket and how to do the cook with them and some of the other ones. time and temperature we've talked about in the past aren't always the same.
Who's your
Just pay-
favorite?
Who's my favorite?
Out of all those guys that you think that you've probably learned the most from?
To
I guess?
watch or to
Pittman.
learn stuff?
Probably Matt Pittman.
Yeah, Matt
I
Pittman has
enjoy
the most
watching Malcolm
information.
because Malcolm loves to eat.
Malcolm,
Malcolm from Killer Hogs.
Yeah.
Malcolm is the funnest one to watch.
Malcolm loves to eat. Malcolm has some good recipes.
Dude, Matt Pittman's like sponsored by Yeti and stuff.
Yeah, he's sponsored by Yeti,
And
Miller
he's
Lite.
a Texas fan. Ugh.
Well, no, actually, I think he's a fucking Alabama fan. He's from Alabama
Yeah.
originally.
I'm
I think.
pretty sure he's always got Texas orange.
But he's, I'm a
stuff.
Cowboys fan. He's a big Cowboys fan. He used to work for the Cowboys back in the day.
Yep.
But Pittman has good stuff. I tried to get into one of his barbecue classes, and they fill up in like 30 fucking seconds. So
Yeah.
getting into his barbecue classes is like next to impossible.
He also
There
seems
was-
like a genuinely nice guy. He's like a family man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But he's got so much good stuff. Meatchurch.com, howtobarbecueright.com is Malcolm's. Is it Cosmos Q? They all have YouTube sites that'll get you to, if you look at any of those guys, they have YouTube sites.
They probably have like Instagram.
And they probably have their Instagram, but they probably have their website on their YouTubes.
I follow Matt Pittman on Twitter, and
I don't use Twitter. I don't know how to do it.
It's
I don't know how
kind
to
of like an
twat
old
with people.
person thing.
Is that like
They'll-
MySpace?
Yeah,
Yeah, but you
You
can't
have
have
to
you can't have a wallpaper and a background song though.
You have to have dial-up to use Twitter.
Do you have to have a .aol?
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
I saw Amber sent me a video the other day of like these kids with a teacher and they were doing like a 90s trivia and they played the sound of a modem dialing in and none of those kids had the slightest clue of
Holy
what that
shit,
sound
that's
was.
wild. Really?
They're like, oh, what's that mean? There's like someone calling?
No way. You
But
went
yeah,
to- you
those
went
are
to
some
computer
great
school?
resources. Unless you, I think we all kind of follow the same. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
have any extras in there that I'm.
I honestly
and
think
sorry, and Hey Girl, Hey, I'll give that girl a shout out because she does some
yeah.
cool stuff. She was actually on the Food Network barbecue pitmaster, barbecue all stars with like Bobby Flay and those guys, and
Sweet.
she did pretty well in that competition.
That's where that poor man's burnt ends. You need a website for this now, so you can put links on a website.
We're working on a YouTube
That's
channel.
a good idea.
Yeah,
so,
Then
exactly.
there'd be links in the description.
Yeah.
I think
That'd
we'll
be
do a
perfect.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're working on maybe doing some video things.
Ooh.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, as far as those guys, there's other people out there. Mad Scientist Barbecue has a great website or great YouTube page.
Yeah, I really like
locally,
his stuff.
locally here though.
Locally, Helping You Barbecue in Omaha is
Yeah.
probably one of the best. John and Ron.
Yep.
Ron compete. Well, they both compete. I think Ron is the maestro of the
Yeah.
competing, I believe.
One thing
Just
before I
good
forget, like
meats.
going back to the seasonings, like get your seasoning and don't be afraid to use a bunch and to spill a bunch like on your cutting board. So I think when I first started, I was like, I paid fucking $10 for this tub of seasoning. I'm not letting a single drop of it not hit my meat.
Well, remember you paid $10 for the seasoning, but you probably paid $100 for the brisket.
No,
Make
I
it
got
worth
from
make it
Hy-Vee,
worth
bro.
your
Yeah,
time.
no shit.
Right, but it's like use the seasoning, get it, use it. It's going to get all of your cutting board. Hopefully, not all of your floor and stain.
Well,
your
and
nice
here's the good thing.
clothes.
Like I said, it's on the cutting board. You watch a lot of those guys. Use like if you haven't seasoned the sides of things,
Yep.
use the cutting board to dab up the
Yeah.
sides.
But you're gonna have waste, and that was the thing. At least for me personally, I fucking hated all the waste from seasoning. I was like, this is so stupid.
You know, every hobby has a cost, and your seasoning is going to be your
Mine's
cost in
years
barbecue.
off my life.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than waiting 12 hours for a brisket and then it tastes like unseasoned or underseasoned because you got fucking weird about
You know,
it.
I think my first like serious like smoke session, as far as meats go, was actually for Thanksgiving turkey, and you helped me with that too, Brett, with its spicy mayo.
Yeah, so
all
you can do a
that
lot of
stuff.
good turkey. You can do well, and different ways you can do it. I always did mine in a roasting pan.
But my point about all that is all these resources are great, but like if you know have like a friend or something or just experiment, everything's going to be edible on a smoker generally.
It's tough to fuck it up real
yeah,
bad.
so just
Like
play
I was
with,
a terrible
play around,
griller, but
play
I
around
do
with
better
it.
on a smoker.
Yeah.
But you know what? Using a smoker for a long time made me a better griller.
Yes.
It makes you more patient.
Yep.
And remember, don't keep opening your smoker. There's that old saying, if you're looking, you ain't cooking.
Yeah.
Because every time you open that smoker, the fucking temp drops. So, and speaking of smokers, I know most of you guys have Traegers. There's some other kinds. I don't know if
Pit,
Matt, have you done any? Have
Pit,
you-
Pit Boss.
well, as far as pellets, but we're talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
like
yeah.
offset. Have you used anything else besides the pellet?
I had one of those like Weber kettle grills that I tried smoking on before. Didn't really like that.
I know Chris has used a cabinet smoker, right?
Like
I have.
And that uses the wood
Electric-
chips.
Electric ones with wood chips.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't impressed. It was
with
kind of
the with the glass door that fogs over the first time you use it.
Seems
Yes.
like a
Like
propane-
I want to maintain a fire for an offset.
Just get a
I think
green. I
there's
told you, just get a
something
green
crazy
egg.
cool about
because you'll
that.
be drunk in the middle of a brisket.
No, because I almost fuck up so many recipes on the pellet smoker because I'm doing too many other things. I'm like, oh shit,
yeah.
I gotta go home.
Yeah.
And I forget about stuff.
Just get a green egg. The only green egg's only downfall is that you can't add fuel to it while it's cooking without pulling everything out of it, and that's where they messed
Right.
up. They need a trap door on the side that you can open up and fucking add fuel to it.
There's what's the one? There's Birch Barrel, I think, is one, but it's got like a big tripod that sits over an
oh
open
yeah,
pit.
you're talking about open pit flame.
Yeah, but it's an
and they
open
make
pit.
those other ones like Pittman has where you can
Yeah,
crank
they have
it
those
up.
fancy ones, but this one has like a grate that you can adjust up and down, but it also has a lid that you can seal off. So you get not quite the same thermal benefits of like the green egg that's super, super insulated, but you have the ability to have like an open pit that you can adjust your grate up and down, plus a lid that you can put on if you're trying to control some
So
of
how
that
do you
stuff.
control? Is there any automation in a green egg that you could?
Yeah, the green egg has a vent on the bottom and a flue on the top.
But that's a manual open close.
They do make so ThermoWorks, which we have some accessory stuff. ThermoWorks, I think, makes the best probes you can get. Their ThermoPen is the best instant read you can get. But they make a system called Billows, and it's a fan that goes into your green egg, hooks into a thermometer, a thermostat, whatever you want to call it, I guess. And then you put another probe on the grate to get the ambient
Why
temperature.
isn't it a thermometer?
I don't know.
thermometer.
But it'll kick
Yeah.
that fan off and on to stoke the fire for you. And
it
it'll-
will stoke the fire
It stokes the fire for you to keep your temperatures right,
with just the air.
which is the air. Yeah, use
Okay.
regular air. But I think a green egg, you can learn a lot on fire management. And I think that I watched a thing with Cosmos the other day, and he made a good point. You know, the pellet cookers have made barbecue way easy, but you should still learn how to do fire management, no matter how, because you'll learn how to run a grill better that way. Like I said, running a green egg. And you know what, the hardest thing with, like Matt said, managing a fire is if the wind changes directions, your fucking temperature changes. Because if you have your vent open and you're facing south and the wind comes hard out of the south, guess what happens? Your fire just got fucking super stoked by the wind.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, that first smoker I had, because it was bent, the what the fuck?
The chimney?
Yeah. So it was really open towards the cornfield behind our house, and it would just get this massive amount of wind in there, and the temperature would never fucking move until I realized that it was just so open to the air that I had to kind of bend it back down and hammer it back down because
Especially on the pellets, it's hard to run. Like
Yeah.
with a green egg, I can leave my bottom vent like wide open and then basically run it off the flue. I can open and
Yeah,
close the flue
right.
which that's how you're going to run most offset cookers. You can basically leave the firebox door open. Well, they don't have a controller a lot of times on the flue. They don't have a dampener, but you can run it off the door, open and closing the door. Because it's all about airflow and how much air. I mean, that's like shit we learned in elementary school. A fire needs oxygen. The more oxygen you give it, the hotter it's going to burn. So that's just figuring out that stuff. But I think if you want to try one, I think a green egg is super easy. Oklahoma Joe's makes a real cheap offset if you want to try that, but it's real cheap because it's not
would you
insulated.
start with the green egg or start with the Traeger?
If you've never smoked anything before,
Yeah.
Depends what you want, right? Do you want to smoke barbecue, or do you just want to like barbecue, like cook?
because using wood like in a green egg and the lump charcoal does give it a different flavor. Like
It just seems
I
like
smoke
so much work.
smoked/cooked, so I'll do wings on a green egg, and I'll do like 400 degrees, 10 minutes each side on wings, and I use pecan wood, and you can 100% taste the pecan wood. If I did it on a Traeger, you would never taste the pecan wood at that temperature. And I actually saw a guy the other day, and I didn't see the whole video, but he was throwing entire logs in his green egg,
Oh, really?
which I don't know why you couldn't, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a big, giant ceramic fucking smoker. Like, it's just, and that shit stays hot forever. Like, when I turn mine off, you're not going to put the cover back on it till either like 5 or 6 hours later or the next day, depending on how hot you get it. And you can get it, they call it nuclear, where it'll actually spin the probe all the way around. The temperature will go all the way around it. And that thing will keep getting hotter.
So that's how you would, if you had a mini one, like you were saying that.
If you're going to sear a steak on it, yeah, just let
Yeah.
it fucking wide open, just get as hot as it can. I made ribeyes that way because that's how Cosmo did it on his PK grill.
Sounds great.
That's how you get rid of bodies.
No.
Yeah.
Hogs.
But he uses a
Hogs is how you
PK,
get rid
a
of
little
bodies.
PK aluminum grill. They can get super hot and use grill grates. And then he would just do like 2 minutes each side, flip it, 2 minutes each side, take it off because it's running at like 700 degrees.
Nice.
But yeah, so I would say start with a pellet if you just want to learn to smoke. If you don't have like the slightest fucking clue about smoking, start with a pellet.
Yeah, they
if
got
you
an
have-
app that comes with it,
Yep.
gives you recipes.
If
That's
you've
what I
smoked
did.
before, or you're like a really good griller and you're real patient and you understand like the idea of fire management, sure, get an offset.
I think by griller he means like Weber, not like your gas.
yeah, like a
grill.
Weber,
Yeah.
like not a gas. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
right.
I have a Weber. It's gas.
Well, you know what
He
I
means
mean.
a
Like I'm
charcoal.
talking about a charcoal Weber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, or
Yeah.
and you like I said, you
I'm
have to be
not
very
that poor.
patient because
Just have an
especially on a
open
green
pit.
egg. On a green egg, if you're gonna do a 14-hour smoke on a brisket, you better be ready to put some fucking time in. It's not like
Yeah,
a Traeger
you're not
where I
going
just turn it on
anywhere.
and go to bed,
See, that's what I'm not interested in, man.
and that's fine.
Right, but that's why like I love the flavor of it.
Like I work from home, like you do,
Right, but
and
I
I
just,
can just start it, and I can kind of just be
right, I'm like
around.
boop beep boop beep boop boop
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah. One of the last things we'll talk about is some other good equipment that you can add to make you a better smoker, a better pit
Yeah.
master, if you will.
I'd say
Good
cheap
Cheap
probes.
ass cotton gloves to put underneath your.
Yeah, if you go
nitrile
yeah.
like
ones.
me and Chris were talking, if you buy them from Malcolm, he gives you like 700 pairs, and I don't know why.
I have a lot
Of cotton?
I've used
We get
one,
the
because you
one
just
pair.
reuse the same one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you
but
put
just
your,
put your-
rubber glove over it
Yeah.
so you can actually handle hot things.
That was a game changer.
It does still get hot. Don't act like your
Yeah.
fingers ain't
Yeah,
still
when you
gonna
put-
fucking burn off in that bitch. Because I grabbed a brisket and that motherfucker was hot.
Right, when you
Yeah.
got your mac and cheese in there, and you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna
Oh,
grab the
that's
pot out of there, and
magma.
just fucking melt right through your shit."
When I watched Aaron Franklin barehand a 203-degree brisket off
Oh,
of a fucking
he's got
smoker, I was
calluses.
like, "What?"
Didn't you say he
is
has
a
like
sup-
10,000 briskets by that point? His hands are just probably.
Yeah, he said he worked like a dish line. That guy sells like 200 briskets a day or some shit like that. But I was like,
Nuts.
holy cow. But yeah, the insulated, the cotton gloves to put your rubber gloves over.
Yep.
Rubber gloves, obviously, cross contamination. If you're fucking, especially if you're dealing with like poultry, stuff like that. I think ThermoWorks makes the best probes.
Yeah.
Best anything. I don't trust the probes on smokers.
What about
Yeah.
knives?
Some kind of meat thermometer.
Knives can be pretty different. Like I have Victoria Knox. I think they're still around.
No, they
make
are.
they make
Yeah.
good. I have I have one here in the old podcast room. We'll call it that. I have their trimming like / fillet knife or whatever. I have their brisket slicer.
So
and
I
they're
still
pretty-
just
they're
use
pretty
a bread
affordable.
knife.
A
Yeah.
bread knife,
Yeah.
like a serrated.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Like
when
a
the dough
saw.
hook's not doing it for them.
Are you a fucking monster? Like,
No.
how do you cut with that?
You saw.
You don't have a brisket knife, a brisket slicer?
It's
Or a
almost-
knife? You don't have a
almost
butcher
the s-
knife? Like a
it's
chef's
it's-
knife? A
so
pocket
it's-
knife?
I do, but
bread
the bread
knife
knife.
is
A
not
sharp
the same as a
arrowhead?
brisket knife.
It seems like it.
Come
you
on,
just
Mike.
saw right through
You
it.
can get your life
like the
together.
ribs. So like the ribs, for example, you just. I mean,
They're probably just shredded apart when you. cut
No,
them
they're
with the-
not. It's still sharp. It's not.
Actually, you know what? Though?
dull.
A lot of the guys on competition circuits use electric bread knives.
So those
Okay,
electric on,
there you go.
those
Thank you,
electric on a
sir.
brisket.
You're an asshole, Matthew.
On a brisket, they do.
Yeah,
They'll use
sure.
that, but it also has a lot smaller cutting teeth.
Yeah, they're
the
serrated.
serration's really small.
Because I have a brisket
is like
slicer
a
that's
hand
serrated,
bread
and I have
knife.
the smooth one.
Yeah.
The serrated one's great because it says
But I mean, so if you're
vegetarian on
trimming
it.
a brisket, like if
That's
you're
what I
trimming
got.
you're trimming your brisket before you smoke it. Are you using a bread knife?
No, like a pocket knife, like a yeah.
A pocket knife? Like a fucking Gerber
I'm fucking
multi-tool?
joking.
Let me get out my multi-tool.
just a fucking Rambo knife,
I love how
My Microtech flips open.
and I
And
gets to
gotta-
trim it.
I mean, it takes a while, but she's reliable.
no.
Actually, but for a trimming knife, Victoria Knox makes one, and it's fairly flexible, which is nice. So you can kind of push down into the meat and slice. But that one, what's that one that I
You're
got
like
you?
a breaking
I don't know what
knife,
the name of that
But
one.
that one's
is,
flexible to toe too,
it
right?
is pretty flexible.
You almost want
yeah.
like a fillet knife
Yeah,
because
right.
it's a little flexible. You can push into the meat and cut with it.
I still use it's a
bread
actually-
knife, we know.
No, for fish, like
a butter
fillet-
knife?
a real like fillet knife for fish. I use it to trim a brisket.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's
but
a
like,
thin blade. It's
But
really just bendy.
Victoria
Yeah.
Knox, I don't remember how you spell it, but they make good knives. You can buy those on Amazon. You can buy them around. A lot of the places, like we said, like I know Malcolm at Helping You Barbecue has his own knives. So yeah, I think good knives. I have this really good sharpener. The company is F Dick. I know it seems weird, but it's
Fun
got
dick.
it's got a little spring-loaded sharpener. You drag the blade through, and it's two little fingers that the blade goes through. and it sharpens it up a little
And
bit.
it just tickles them.
I've tried. Like, I bought a couple different knife sharpeners, and I could not get those fucking things to work. So I think it's like, I think good knife sharpening is like gunsmithing. Trying to find somebody who's really good at it is hard.
Right. Well, there's like
Sharpening
most of
serrated
them.
blades blow too.
Most of
anyway.
them are just like giving an edge back. They're not actually sharpening. Like you should be
And I don't know how to use one of those cool rods like chefs do, and they go real fast. I don't know how to do it. I'm
like,
gonna
but
lose a
that's,
finger if I try
that's like
that.
the easiest thing to do because you go through that and all you're trying to do is you're just giving an edge back because it gets little nicks
Clean
and
the little burrs
stuff.
off of it.
Yeah, so you're just getting it smooth again. So you just use that frequently before right before you start cutting or after you've been cutting for a while and it starts to slow down.
Mike's
bust that
leaving,
thing
but he
out.
doesn't really contribute anything anyway.
Or he uses the fucking bread knife. We got it.
Yeah, bread knife and a butter knife to trim, so that's cool.
You guys are violent.
And he
My
makes
protect.
pork butt.
But I mean,
Protect.
equipment-wise, I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's a Thermo Pro on Amazon that's a good starter. That's that orange one. Didn't we all get that one at one point?
Yeah. Whatever
That's
whatever the one on Amazon that's orange and has like 50,000 reviews.
Yeah, I think it's Thermo Pro. Once you get going, get into Thermo Works. Get a good Insta read because you can also use that to probe, like for tenderness when you push it into your meats. Cold smokers, look up the Amazing Tube. That's good for you. Want to do any kind of cold smoking. Pellet storage. I know Matt's got the new Traeger, comes with it. My sister actually got me like a dog food vault, it's
Yep.
called, or something like that. And they're like airtight and watertight.
Yep.
So you can keep your pellets in it outside. And she just got me like a big ass scooper for it. So that's handy. I have my butcher paper on a roll with a cutter on it. I know you said the Reynolds comes with a cutter, right?
It does.
So that's good to have around. But you'll learn as you go. But just kind of start out with, because if you get a shitty probe, you're going to get shitty results out of it. And you can test them in ice water. Some you can calibrate. But I kind of look at like what the competition guys are using, and your ThermoWorks is going to be. You're going to spend some money, but it's probably going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
My ThermoWorks that I use for my briskets has a handheld, just like a little RF signal inside. I'm a weirdo. I don't trust my phone to tell me when things are at temperature on time. You know what I mean? And sometimes
but
the money will alert
it's
you.
a good general area thing. Like, am I plus or minus 5 to 10 degrees of where I want
Well,
to be?
as far as that, but I don't know how many times it'll go off. Like if I'm sleeping at night, is it going to
Oh,
fucking,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Am I going to hear it? Because I know like my Traeger, the pellet sensor, will only like beep, beep. And I'm like, well, that doesn't fucking help me. Like, but play around with it. I feel like we gave you some good resources on some stuff. Gave you some good ideas on some things. You guys got anything else to add on this? I mean, it's start of summer. It's barbecue time. It's the best time of
Yeah.
year as far as that stuff goes.
Just get out there and try it. You don't got to spend a shit ton of money on like a real
And
fancy
don't
thing.
worry, you were going to fuck things up. Like Chris made his first brisket. I thought it was pretty good. His wife thought it was dog shit. So
I wouldn't say dog shit, but
that's the sense I got.
But
No,
not
she-
much better.
She said I can make a better one.
oh,
maybe.
shit.
Yeah, so
Were those the actual words out of her mouth?
I don't remember the exact words, but she wants to try one.
It didn't.
so-
Wasn't like I want a divorce. It wasn't that bad.
No, but I think she is going to try one, which should be interesting.
So, but get out there and experiment. You know,
with her and I though, she told me she could make better chili than me, but I won. So
but get out. You know what I mean, and try it. Like you talk. You look at any of these big competition guys. Aaron Franklin, one of the most successful barbecue restaurants probably in the country, at Franklin Barbecue. He talks about how many terrible briskets he made the first time. And you know what? There's a master class with Aaron Franklin you can pay for online. I did it, and I learned a lot of cool shit from Aaron Franklin. So he's kind of like a bit of a savant with that stuff. But watch some of those videos we talked about, like how to barbecue right, Meat Church, Hey Grill Hey, Cosmos. Those guys will give you all kinds of recipes and all kinds of shit to follow. Do your research, learn. We all have Traegers. You don't have to have a Traeger. If you want to get a Pit Boss or you want to get something that's more
Yoder.
a Yoder. Well, Yoder's a little more expensive.
I want.
I'm talking if you're trying to get a little entry level.
Yeah, but if
And you know the thing is, most of the time, if it's cheaper, it's probably more of what the material it's made out of more than anything. Which, if it's cooler out, you're going to burn more fuel. That's where it's going to cost you in the long run. You know,
Yeah.
like most of the new Traegers are insulated.
Yeah, I think we could do a whole hour just on the differences between the
Yeah.
major like pellet brands and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the most thing. Most of the time, the extra money is going to be for just better quality steel.
Mhm.
The Yoders, like Chris said, I mean, those are made out of 1/4-inch steel, so they're like going to hold heat like a motherfucker. So that's where your money's going to be and how much fuel you want to burn. So other than that, I mean, if you guys have any questions, we have an Instagram page, Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue. You can always shoot questions on there. We can always answer in the DMs. We are trying to work on some YouTube action. We'll see what happens with that. I'd love to get it on YouTube. But if you guys like it, subscribe to us. We always want the subscribers on Apple Podcast or whatever it is, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever you're on. Tell everybody about us. Follow our Instagram page. When we put up our Q&A stuff, it's always on there. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next time.